One of the things that I love about Pritikin is we do have a Pritikin eating plan, but I just call it a template.
Yeah.
This is a template and we need to customize it for you based on your lifestyle, your needs, your health markers, and honestly, what you're willing and not willing to do.
From the Pritikin Longevity Center in Miami, Florida, welcome to the Healthier Everyday podcast, where we talk about your health, your fitness, your mindset, the food you eat, and putting it all together to create an amazing lifestyle. In this episode, we discuss our exciting new menu, discover how we use the menu as a template, and how to customize the nutrition plan to meet a variety of unique needs and lifestyles. Kara and Vince provide insights on the process of creating the menu and talk about the challenges of balancing flavor and wellness. Kara Burnstine has over 20 years of experience as a registered dietitian. Kara coaches her clients for issues such as weight loss, cardiovascular disease, gut health, and behavior modification strategies. Vince Della Polla has been creating healthy and flavorful meals with Pritikin since 2007. When he's not working with Pritikin dietitians on a new recipe, he holds daily cooking classes and monthly workshops helping people expand their creativity in the kitchen. Enjoy today's episode and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Welcome. Week one, we're back here.
We are back, Chef.
Thanks for coming in,
And
Kara.
you got, Pritikin has a new look and so do you.
I have a new watch on that's steel, but my logo is still green. So
I'm not talking about the logo, Chef.
Oh, I have the stash. Yeah, this is for Halloween. So
I'm loving it. It's fun.
I'm sporting my 80s look, though. Well, so we have a new menu and we have a new color. And
we have a new floor.
We have a new floor. We have lots of new stuff. I got lots of new equipment, a whole new buffet line. So you haven't been back to Pritikin anytime recently, I highly recommend you check what we have out because lots of new programming as well. We just got done doing an herb lecture, not a lecture, but a workshop where we blindfold you, we get you involved, holding stuff, kind of smelling herbs, kind of guess game, and really, it's always a fun time and
having
lots
fun.
Of laughs.
Yeah. I think one of the themes in us coming back here is to have more fun and be more like kids, because when you're a kid, you tend to be able to have fun with anything you do. So
be more engaging and
more engaging,
absorbing the information you're actually given to you.
Yeah. Carol and I, the director of exercise, 2 weeks ago, we trialed a new gut health class and we had big beach balls and we were throwing them around and everybody was laughing and learning. Nice. And it was just...
We're not running sleep studies all day here, all right?
No.
We're not trying to put you to sleep in the lecture.
Not as many PowerPoints.
We certainly try to give you some entertainment as well.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about the new look and the new classes and
Agreed.
All the good stuff.
So one new thing that I was pushing for was that during lunch, one thing that we would do is never serve any animal protein during our buffet. One thing that we suggested was why not try doing that in small incremental things. So exposing people to the idea of maybe doing a turkey bolognese sauce or a chicken with chili and or with 3-bean turkey chili, or I actually want to do kangaroo, but nobody liked it. That's another side note. We were considering doing an alternate red meat besides bison, so we actually were talking about doing something adventurous, right? So we were saying, well, why can't we make a kangaroo chili, right? You could buy kangaroo, camel, yak, all types of weird adventurous stuff. But most people wouldn't usually kind of get into that realm of things. So if you want to use a lean red meat, what do we recommend usually is bison. That's what we serve here. It tastes just like beef. It's more common. But you can certainly have antelope and venison and
alligator was another one that we talked about.
We were considering, but again, we were trying to just get more new adventurous stuff. So one thing that we just put on the menu was aloha chicken, which is like a sweet and sour kind of stew with simmered down with chunks of pineapple and chicken in there. We serve that usually with like a nice black rice and a nice bright green vegetable. So overall, we try to lower your animal consumption to about 4 to 5 ounces in a given day. So it doesn't have to be at one shot. It can be kind of cumulative throughout the day. Maybe 2 ounces at lunch, maybe 3 or 4 ounces at dinner. Just try not to overdo it and just mainly be more mindful. Not going for that big 10-ounce burger or that big 12-ounce steak or that 8-ounce piece of salmon. Just be more mindful of what you're putting in your body. Maybe try to break it down and always introduce more vegetables, right? So make a salmon wrap with like 2 ounces of salmon in there with lots of vegetables. That's something we'll certainly consider
weaning
doing.
on in. I would say that I think that a lot of people, whether they come to Pritikin or not, may not be all in the vegetable space. And one of the things that we really like to talk about here at Pritikin is that we want to meet you where you're at, as opposed to trying to drive you to do something that maybe you're not ready to do yet. And so I feel that that's part of the reason why we're introducing a little bit of animal protein during lunch, because what we noticed what was happening was that people were just going for an alternative, an optional option, which would be all animal protein. Because if they didn't like the vegetarian choice, they would have a piece of chicken or a piece of salmon, correct? Which in turn, they would maybe have more protein than if we just gave a little bit at lunch and a little bit at dinner. And we still, of course, have a vegetarian option for those who want it. So we just felt like it was a little bit of a way to introduce the vegetarianism along with the animal. And then maybe eventually they'll move to the vegetarian space, but maybe that's not exactly where they're at the moment.
Yeah. And, I mean, in my mind, it's usually going to be a win if you're having, a big bowl of chili with lots of vegetables and beans and only, about, maybe 1 or 2 ounces of actual meat in there. Here, when we serve it, where most chilies are going to have a lot more meat in there, salt in there, not many vegetables, if any. We may just be peppers and onions. So we're trying to really get you to try new things and also show you that, food can be fun and healthy and flavorful. Vegetables can be healthy and fun and flavorful, especially if you would pair them up with a little bit of meat. That can kind of get you maybe for somebody who normally just eats meat or not as many vegetables.
Exactly.
It's a good kind of compromise, right?
I agree. I totally agree. It's like, when my kids were little and I wanted them to eat vegetables, I would melt a lot of cheese on top of it. But not that cheese is the best thing in the world to eat, but it was a way to introduce the vegetable where they were more willing to eat it. And over time, eventually they didn't really need the cheese anymore, but it was just a really good way to get the vegetable in. So our goal here at Pritikin really is to help you live better, do better, and progress. We talk about being Pritikin perfect. We talk about being Pritikin friendly. But at the end of the day, what we really strive for you is to be better, do better, and progress over time. And, one of the things I always talk about in class is that this whole health journey that we're on, it is a journey. There is no destination. It doesn't really have an end to it. So it doesn't mean that you have to get there super quickly. You just want to get there. And some people can, go from 0 to 60, and some people need to go from 0 to 30 and then 40, and then they get to where they want to go. And that's really the name of the game here. It's not a one size fit all program. It's really, this is what we want you to introduce you to. But if you're not ready for all plant-based right now, then okay, let's wean you on in. And I think that we'll see how it goes, right?
Yeah, I mean,
think
we
it's
certainly
a great
have lots of, we still use our soy-based products as well. We generally would typically use a ground meat substitute. Some of the just straight vegetarian dishes that would mimic a ground chicken or a ground turkey or even a ground bison. And you could still even do a blend of both of them, right? They do like a little bit of ground chicken, a little bit of that ground soya product, soya or TVP, textured vegetable protein. It's a great meat substitute, right? It's a great alternative. It's no cholesterol, has no saturated fat, and it just has more texture, like having like a ground chicken or ground protein. But for somebody who wants to kind of get outside the box and like, I don't know about that, it can be kind of like
scary,
a little unfamiliar, So showing you that you can still do it. We still are certainly still serving those things, but we are blending a little bit of actual animal protein in some of the dishes as well, and showing you that life. We're trying to be realistic here, And if you're somebody who goes home and just eats vegetables, great. And we have lots of those dishes that are all just vegetable based. But if you're somebody who likes to have some meat as well, we're showing you that you can still do that. We actually have an ahi tuna poke bowl coming on the menu next week as well. Today we just did a ruby chocolate drizzled little raspberry skewers that we're doing. We did a dragon fruit banana popsicle yesterday, sweet and sour cabbage soup earlier today. Just kind of new menu items that were just about 60 new items that we put on our 2-week menu, which kind of consists about over 200 recipes in general. So if you ever come here, there's going to be a ton of things that you're going to be exposed to. Most people don't get to try every single thing because you're usually going to be, maybe working out when the snack's going on or something. You might just miss it one day, but we try to encourage you to try as many things as you can and take our weekly menu and kind of circle what you like the best while you're here. So, this is what I want to start making when I go home. And we try to hopefully kind of give you as much tools as we can. We're going to give you, that meal prepping and ideas of what works for you when you go home to make this sensible and make it doable.
Exactly.
If you're trying to lose weight, overcome some health issues, or just feel better, eating processed foods with too much sugar and too much sodium is going to prevent you from hitting these goals. Well, let's face it, sometimes eating healthy food can be boring. My name is Vincenzo Della Polla. I'm the executive chef here at Pritikin Longevity Center. It's my job to make sure that the cuisine we serve you at the Pritikin Longevity Center not only meets our health standards laid out by our physicians and our nutritionists, but it's also flavorful, exciting, and something new for our guests to experience. That's why my team and I have been working on our new menu for our grand reopening. If you're looking for a place where you can enjoy flavorful, whole, and unprocessed foods that are going to help you hit your goals and live completely, come and dine with us at the Pritikin Longevity Center. Hope to see you soon.
And then one of the things I also like to mention is that some of the recipes may have a whole lot of ingredients in them because
They're spices. They're spices most of the time, right?
Right.
Like, don't overwhelm.
But my point is that you don't always have to put every single item in there. It's not like you have to go rush to the store and, oh my God, I don't have, cilantro, but I do have basil or something like that. I think it's really important for us to sort of improvise and experiment and try different things, and don't get overwhelmed when you see 20 different ingredients on the recipe. Just shorten it to your liking and see how it comes out. And I think it's really important for us to not stay dogmatic and always try to force ourselves into, if we're in a square peg in a circular hole or something like that. I think that it's really important to listen to our guests and hear what they have to say. And then we do the best that we can do based on the feedback, that we get from the guests. And I feel like, listen, I'm a dietitian and I know a lot about food and nutrition, but there's always so much information coming at us and things change a lot. And so at the end of the day, my best advice that I could give anyone is to eat whole food. And then however that looks like for you right now, if you have a little bit more animal than plant, that's okay. If you have more plant than animal, that's great too. It's kind of finding your groove and experimenting with new things and seeing what sticks, as opposed to trying to force yourself in a place and it keeps on not sticking.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the new menu, I think the biggest challenge of designing the new menu is your diet is so customizable to each person, and it should be, right? Like everybody, there's no one size fits all meal plan. And I think the beauty about it is, there's a new menu, and it was designed with, a chef. The chef is going to put his ideas as far as what is going to make this the most flavorful dish.
And then she reels me back in.
And then
hold up, buddy.
I'm like, only 1 to 2 ounces of animal, right? The rest is going to be vegetables. So yeah, Chef and I have a really good way of compromising, I would say, to what, Chef is about taste and flavor. I totally get that. I'm about taste and flavor too, but I'm more about health. So I think we have
about health, though. Calm down.
I know you are. But you know what I'm saying. Like,
no, absolutely no.
If I was a chef, I'd be more about flavor too. I totally get that.
I remember the first time I made the cupcake recipe here, and it was like a back and forth of like 6 different times of getting on and looking at the recipe, looking at plugging it into our nutritional analysis program to is it too much cream cheese for this one serving? Because everything has to be balanced out. What day are we going to put that cupcake recipe on?
Based on what other menu items are on the schedule.
It's a balancing act, not only
is.
just because it has to be kind of make sense nutrition-wise, but also has to make sense, like not too much, certain dishes like that, not too many like Asian flavored dishes in one day, or too much, everything's like, we such a big variety of dishes throughout the week. We don't want to have so much kind of stagnation or too much repetitiveness. So, one day you might have, more like a, tonight we're doing a mojo turkey, actually. With some like roasted plantain mash. Tomorrow we do like a crispy eggplant parmesan. We're doing a roasted poblano cream sauce with a pan-seared halibut. So lots of new interesting stuff that we're putting on the menu, and people have really enjoyed it so far. This is our first week with the new thing, so if you're coming our second week, we'll have even more new things to try out. And, it's like I said, we change our menu usually try to about once every year. Sometimes we go a little bit longer than that because it does take, a long time to kind of get that menu all, put together where everything works. And, people aren't going to have too much sodium in one day or too much, protein in one day, too much carbs in one day, too much processed things in one day. So it's definitely a balancing act.
It is definitely a balancing act. And it's something also that I think that the guests have to understand what their health priorities are in terms of, if their cholesterol is elevated and they're really trying to lower that, maybe they're going to focus more in the vegetarian space. And if their blood sugars are elevated and they really want to get those down, then, I talk a lot about, listen, fruit is nature's candy. It is a whole food. It's watery, it's fibrous, it's wonderful, but it is quite sugary. So fruit is not unlimited for everybody that comes to Pritikin. But for some people it is. So really, really, I think one of the things that we're very good at here at Pritikin is customizing to the guest as long as they come to us and talk to us about some of the issues that they have.
Agreed.
For example, there was a woman I was speaking with today, and she was working out with one of the trainers. And she was talking about some of the issues that she was having as she's an aging female and things start changing. And the trainer's like, well, you should really talk to Kara because she's kind of going through the same thing and maybe she could help you. And some of the things that we may be discussing may not be completely Pritikin. Like, for example, I might tell her avocados are a really good idea when you're going through the change, so to speak, because it's very anti-inflammatory. It's good for the immune system. These are things that we really need to start focusing on. And sometimes we need to tweak it a little bit when they go home to make sure that, first of all, they're able to continue their success and also really focus on what their specific concern is.
It's almost as if not everybody's created equal, right?
Not everybody's created equal, so we don't all fit inside of a box. And I think that is one of the things that I love about Pritikin is we do have a Pritikin eating plan per se, but I just call it a template. Yeah. This is a template and we need to customize it for you based on your lifestyle, your needs, your health markers, and honestly, what you're willing and not willing to do. Here at the Pritikin Center, it's like rainbows and unicorns. All you gotta do is show up and everything is planned and prepared for you. But when you get home, get ready for those lions and tigers and bears. Whether you're racing out the door to work and skipping breakfast, or glued to the Zoom call and no time for lunch, or maybe you're in retirement and every day is a holiday. The solution? You need a plan. My name is Kara. I've been a registered dietitian for over 20 years, and I've helped thousands of clients create sustainable plans that stick. At the Pritikin Center, we offer a one-to-one remote nutrition coaching program with me. Together, we will create a customized plan that addresses your lifestyle, your health markers, and any of those derailers that lead you astray. Support and accountability can be the difference between finding success and constantly chasing after it. Sign up today for more information about Pritikin at Home Concierge Nutrition Program. Are we good for next week? Are you same time, 2 o'clock next Wednesday? That work for you?
I would say this menu is great for anybody, right? But there's little avenues you could take where if I'm somebody who works out a lot, I may require more protein, right? I mean, it all depends on your own lifestyle. I'd say, just eating what we serve here in general, there's ways, there's certain dishes that you may have higher frequency of that one particular dish, but it's a great recipe that's still very flavorful. It's low in sodium and it's low in fat. But maybe you just want to have a little bit more protein, right? For instance, as a bodybuilder or somebody normally just I'm doing a 5, 6, 7 mile run every morning. Well, yeah, you probably should be eating a little bit different than somebody who's not doing that much work.
Right, that person would need more carbohydrate per se. One of the things that I tell the guests a lot of times is that carbohydrates are our first line of fuel. So the more fuel we need, then maybe the more carbohydrates we can have. So for example, one of the things that we tell the guests here is consume more of your fruit in the front end of the day versus the back end of the day. And one of the reasons that is because a lot of people here at Pritikin have what's called insulin resistance. And so fruit actually has a fair amount of sugar in it. And if you're moving and shaking all day, then you're going to burn that off more easily. But if you're having dinner, and then after dinner, you want to have a little fruit or something, sounds like a great idea. But somebody with insulin resistance who's after dinner just going to go sit down in front of a TV, they're not really burning very much fuel. Maybe fruit wouldn't be the best idea for them at night. So we would say, hey, I know you like your fruit. Fruit is a good idea, but it's probably better to have it in the front end of the day because that's when you're more physical and things like that. So I think it's important to really understand people's lifestyles. Some people work out more in the evening. Some people exercise more in the morning. That really affects the type of food that they should eat. And in terms of physical activity, as Chef had mentioned, some people are more into weight training. Some people are more into cardiovascular. My suggestion is I think you really should do a combination of both, especially as, we start aging, we start losing our lean muscle mass. And the best way to maintain that and help it grow is to do resistance training. So, with that, yes, sometimes you need a little bit more protein to build up a little bit. But I would say, I think that we in general as Americans think we need a whole lot more protein than we actually do. But when you do all plant-based, you have to understand that there is very good sufficient protein in things like legumes, so lentils, chickpeas, black beans, edamames. But if people are saying they're vegetarian and they're not really consuming those sort of plant-based proteins and they're consuming more rice, pasta, potatoes, that sort of thing, and they have insulin resistance, that is not necessarily the best recipe for them because those foods are high carbohydrate value. Their pancreas is a little bit inefficient and it can't handle all of that carbohydrate. So sometimes bringing in that animal is a really good way to cut the carbohydrate down a little bit, stabilize their blood sugar, and actually keep them more satiated and full. So
that's why I always tell people, when they come to Pritikin, it's always a good idea to sit down with somebody like you.
I think it's a good idea. I think so.
And that's something we definitely offer. I mean, and even when you go home, to give you, a little bit more guidance when you leave here, it's definitely, kind of keeping you on track. And just like she keeps me on track with the menus, with the recipes.
I try.
She keeps our guests on track when they leave here with their, what is it called? Pritikin on track, right?
POT.
POT.
Yeah.
I think Pritikin is like a place where you go to discover, how your body reacts to different foods. A lot of people come here for different medical reasons, and they come here to use food as medicine and exercise as medicine. And, they take their blood in the beginning of the week and their blood at the end of the week, and they see kind of what using those tools.
Seeing results in real time, I think, is the biggest eye opener from people. When I hear it, I mean, it never gets old. I mean, I hear it all the time. Wow, I can't believe it's been a week and my numbers have been just it's everything more stabilized. I don't feel so so swollen when I wake up. And people have told me so many different variations of stories. But just staying here for a week or 2 weeks or a month, depending on how long you want to stay, depending on your condition. Eating the right food and staying active, doing what we do here, it really will. You see results, especially in your nutritionals and when you get your results back.
Yeah.
So you can come and you can have the menu. You can open up the menu and just take the menu as it is, and you're going to see improvements that way. But depending on how depending on if you work with Kara one-on-one, depending on if you can take it deeper and deeper and deeper.
Definitely taper it in your own direction.
Customize the menu and really, hey, Kara, I really don't like this type of food. What can I do? And then you can talk to Chef and be like, hey, what can I do to kind of
change it
throw
up.
A little bit of this? Can you give me some meal ideas? And you can have a little, private cooking session, and you can talk about how you can go home and take these meals home with you, and
I honestly think that's probably the most important thing that people, before they leave Pritikin, I always say, you need to have a plan before you go home. So when you get home, you know what you're going to do. Because I promise you learn so many things here at Pritikin, and it's all floating around in your head, and you have a whole bunch of notes on a pad of paper, but you're going to go home and all of everything that you normally do at home is going to come back to you. When you're here at Pritikin, we call it rainbows and unicorns, right? Or a bubble or anything like that. You don't have to worry about anything but showing up at your class or your exercise class. But when you go home, you got all those other outlying factors that are going to come in. And what happens is you sort of forget what you learned when you were here at Pritikin. But if you already have a plan in place and you have a grocery list and you have a list of recipes that you're going to make, then that makes it all that much easier to get home and feel less stressed and less anxious. And I think that's one of the pearls of the Pritikin On Track program, because it's not like we give you a 2-week boot camp and we're like, good luck, go on your merry way. We're like, here's a 2-week boot camp, and I'm going to continue to follow you as you go through this. And when you feel like you can fly on your own wings, you go. But until that point happens, utilize us as a sounding board, an accountability tool, a support, whatever you want to call it. I know how bartenders always say that they're sort of like therapists, right? When people go to a bar and they spill their guts out. Well, one of the things that I've noticed here about Pritikin is that I am a nutritionist, but I also now consider myself a
bartender.
No,
I gotta come to your office more often.
Of a food therapist, I would say, honestly, because there is so much connection between food and mood and feelings and things like that. And I've really noticed that, because there's some people that when they come here to Pritikin, they become alive and they're so excited because they could, like you said, they can open and close their hands without pain. They can tie their shoes without pain. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, I could do this. But then they get home and it is different at home.
It's easy to do when you're in this bubble,
exactly.
Like you said,
and then we just kind of talk about it. And, people go away on vacation. They're not going away to vacation at Pritikin. They're going to somewhere else where they don't have food that has no sugar, salt, or fat in it. So we need to accommodate for those things. And we talk about it. And, we talk about restaurants and calling ahead and looking at the menu and being mindful and all of these things. And I think we all need to be constantly reminded of things that we kind of slough off in the past. And one of the things that I notice is that when the emotions start rising, we tend to start going back to our old comfortable habits. And we have to remember, they were comfortable, but they weren't serving us well. We're rewiring our brain. And I know it's going to take a little bit of time. So I got to keep on pressing on. And I think that's one of the, like I said, one of the pearls of Pritikin is that we can continue to follow them so that they, don't completely fall off and have to start all over again.
Yeah, exactly. And if you do, we're always here to come back and get you set right back in your.
Yeah, and the truth is, it's like once you really know what to do and you're in your groove, it still is really nice to come somewhere where you don't have to think and you don't have to do. You just be.
Exactly.
And so I think that's people don't come back here all the time because they fall off. They just come back here because they want to break from, all the cooking and all of that kind of stuff.
It's a way to know that exactly everything you're putting in your body is 100%
is actually
healthy.
working.
There's no guesswork there, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, if you do want to come to Pritikin and you want to try any of our new menu items or any of our new program that we're offering, my name is Vince. This is Kara. Join us down here at the Pritikin Longevity Center. Come to Miami. Check us out. There's lots to see. We'll see you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Healthier Everyday podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. If you're interested in learning more about the Pritikin Longevity Center and how the physician-led team of wellness professionals have been helping people for almost 50 years, visit Pritikin.com. That's Pritikin.com.